Hi guys, welcome to another LivinginSAtv video. David and Kuleko and Brian here. Brian's today is going to show us 44 Stanley Street Development Avenue. Sorry about that. Make sure guys that you watch the video until the end and know that amazing stuff that is happening in Johannesburg CBD, because Brian is one of the original developers, one of the most crazy guys to do something like this. Again guys, stay tuned because once again this video will blow your mind.
So this is Brian Green again, and we're at 44 Stanley, not street, but avenue. And this started about 2003. I was a television cameraman working in television news, and I had a little business behind, in the business park behind, and I used to drive past these buildings every day. Loved them, but did nothing about it really, until my brother-in-law came up from Cape Town wanting to open a bar, which became the very famous Colour Bar that we opened in Stanley Avenue. And the place, we wanted to rent a space for him, but we ended up actually buying it because the people that owned the property were the biggest portfolio managers in the country, Old Mutual, and they didn't know what to do with it, they didn't want it. So I decided, I told him that I was going to buy it. Quite bold of me at the time. I had no money, but when I went home I thought, oh, I've told him I'm going to buy it, now how am I going to manage this? And came up with a plan to actually take it off their hands and develop it. And the plan worked with a very much more experienced business partner who is in property. And we had the dream back in the day to turn it into what the place has become. I think it kind of surpassed my dreams, and it's, you know, I'm very proud of it. It's my first development, and it filled a little brown hole of Joburg that wasn't functioning. It was just derelict and useless, and now it's a very vital little hub in Johannesburg that just for me gets more beautiful in time. It's not fancy, it's not gilded, it's got fantastic shops, it's got fantastic community, and you know, this is it. You're in it, we're feeling it, and what more can I say? It works.
How much you invested and how many jobs you generated?
Okay, so you know, it was a long time ago when we bought it, and it cost 1.6 million rand back in the day. That's 21 years ago, and we probably initially got it going with about another 4 million rand. But all of that money came forward from Old Mutual Properties. We didn't have to raise the money because the property was unbondable. There was absolutely no way we would have raised a bond against what the property was. The initiative, or the way that we did it, is that we took the buildings to a state of being able to be bonded, and we had done a deal with Old Mutual that was a little onerous in the way of what we had to pay in interest, but they incentivized us to get out of the relationship with them as quickly as possible, get the buildings into a bondable state, and then go to a bank and raise the finance to start 44 Stanley Avenue in earnest.
Brian, well, thank you so much, man. We love what you've done here, and the reason why I've parked this question, because that is the genesis, that's where it all started. You're a photographer. How do you pivot to now being a property developer?
So I spent a lot of time in areas that there was war, and there was you know, buildings that had been smashed by bombs and bombardment, and they were in Europe, some of them in the Middle East, and I loved the buildings, and all I wanted to do was kind of fix these buildings. So there was a deep passion within me to do something with property and development and buildings, and particularly old buildings that had become unused and derelict. This was an extraordinary opportunity for me to get involved at a very low purchase price, and in the day very low development costs, and that's it. I just kind of fell into it with a far more experienced partner, and we kind of held hands in this together, he kind of giving all the adult advice and me getting on with my passion, and we did it, you know, and it's turned out into I like to think it's a real little jewel in Johannesburg, and it's very representative. I love the crowd that comes here. It attracts fabulous people. Some people come and look and leave, but there are many people that come back to the property and love it. And it's their haven. It's their place where they like to go and chill out in quite a fast-paced Johannesburg.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sorry, we don't have water. We keep rolling, guys. That's what we do. With your investment here, you've influenced the way the community has developed. I'm looking at UJ, student accommodation. I'm using, Virgin, Active. So basically, with you having taken the first step, guys, I'm sure you will see how it was looking before Brian came in, with his partners, to develop the space. What is the relationship like with the community or the neighbors that you have around here?
Well, first of all, I wasn't the only one to get involved at the same time. It was my partner and I.
Yes.
But simultaneously, there were two other developments going on. One with Ricky Pollock, who developed all of the old Chubb security buildings, and Jonathan Gimple, who developed the old After Studios, or he developed the old Atlas Bakery. Not the After Studio, the Atlas Bakeries, and so that kind of created a real buzz. It did, however, take quite a long time. This was a very bleak street with no trees, no planting, nothing. And there was this big building here, but this part of Johannesburg had gone to sleep because of the new road that they'd cut through and cut off the residential neighborhoods. But as time developed, the city followed us. You see all of these benches and these posts and whatever. They came and they wanted to make this the beginning of a new development that was going along this spine, which is Barry Herzog, and then the others came along. They started this apartment block over here, the apartment block on the corner, the Virgin Active, the gyms, and we've had various tenants in this building. In fact, this was the genesis of one of the top architectural firms in South Africa. I forget their name for the moment, but Anthony Orlovitz. So they started here as well, and there was this fantastic energy that just erupted, and it was very creative. It was the creatives, it is a lot of the time the creatives that get these old neighborhoods going again, and it's primarily because the property values are so low, and they come up with ways of populating those spaces and making them live again. And I think that is one of the most important for cities, is never let those buildings that die completely. Let them die for a while, let the prices drop, get more blood into there, and let's lift them up again. And that's what we have to do. We just have to keep on pushing and making the city work. It's got all the people, it's got the potential. I mean, Johannesburg buzzes with energy. When I hear kind of music and and I just think I'm a piano, and I just think you can hear Joburg in this music because these guys are wild and alive. It's amazing.
Okay, that's beautiful. I think you've mentioned that you started obviously with your partners and everyone that developed here, and the city followed you. You read my mind. How difficult it is for investors, property investors, to work with the city, passing of plans. Do you think there's any area of improvement?
Look, I think at the moment, I think that things are improving. They are going to improve dramatically, because I think that with the government of national unity, I'm hoping that everyone's watching everyone else. That you can't just hide in a corner and scale the bucks. You're going to have to be answerable. They're going to get rid of the dry wood. So I'm hoping that our administration becomes far more efficient. If it becomes far more efficient, it's going to encourage more people to take the plunge, go into it. But I think what we've got to remember here is that, Joburg is it's a big fat pond, and the closer you can bring the stepping stones together of development, the sooner we'll have a great city again.
Oh, that's beautiful. Right. So what you've done here with everyone that went into business for being brave. What I'm happy about is that we don't wait for things to become perfect, in the city. And I think it's a gospel that we always preach, in the channel that says the only way or the most effective way of actually reviving Johannesburg is having, brave people like, yourself that believe in the city. I mean, I often joke and say those who've made it, in Johannesburg, they started in the city. And then obviously all this development that has happened is because of the brains and the love that people actually have, about Johannesburg. 44 Stanley Avenue, we see the amount of work that you've done and your neighbors that, they've done. What is the future, looking like to sustain what you've created here?
I think we just have to have more people that believe. If we have more people that believe, take advantage of the fact that the property values are probably lower now than they will ever be again. Who knows in 1,000 years' time, but ever be again. And they need to jump in, because this is a real opportunity now to get this place off its feet, and the opportunity only presents itself because property is so inexpensive. And Joburg's like, it's a mining town, it's a pioneering town. People have got the spirit, they just need to wake up and do it. Yes, there are a lot of people moving to Cape Town, including myself, but my heart is with Joburg, and I think there's a lot of people that have a very soft place for Johannesburg. It's an extraordinary city, lots of energy. I'd love more people to just start looking around and exploring opportunities, and look out for where people are doing stuff and do something next to them so that they limit their risk. We wouldn't have gone into Bez Valley without Nando's being our partner. We would have been too bung. It was just, so look for somebody that's done something like this before. I've been in downtown Johannesburg before. We were too early. We were there in 2003 or something, 2006. Now I think now the time is it's pulsing. I think there's such unbelievable time now to do stuff. So help us get cracking. Let's make this place Trump.
You couldn't have you couldn't have said it, quite better. We actually, love the passion, and what I'm happy about is that you haven't lost the spark. You haven't lost the passion, in your investment, because at times we tend to just look at the bottom line. I can imagine if ever you were not in for, a long run, I think you would have maybe sold out long ago, because you need to be patient in this kind of investments. And with the city, as you are saying, that this is the time for investors to come in and invest now in the property prices are quite low. But what are those lessons that you want to share, just as simple as possible, to those potential investors? We often get comments and people that get in touch with us who want to invest in Johannesburg, but they are just looking for those basics. And I believe that you can be able to share quite some insight, just few things people that they need to have, maybe passion, a big heart. What is it that you think someone who want to actually invest in Johannesburg they need to have? What qualities do they need to have?
I think they have to have some kind of unusual. I think they have to have a love for the city, the potential of making real money out of this. I think they have to have a feeling to kind of give this city opportunity and be part of that opportunity in creating wealth for themselves again. It's like it's an entrepreneurial thing, I guess. It's something that people looking for opportunities. I believe that this, if you do your research and if you get stuck in properly, it's one of those things that you can really, really do well. You can buy incredible buildings for very little money, and there's guidance out there. There are people that will help. Or if you want to invest in things, I think that find the people that are willing to show you how it's done, or go for the ride with them.
Yes.
And jump on the bandwagon. And I really think there's a time for a lot of people to up their game and get themselves some cash.
Wow, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much. It's so amazing actually to go through your establishment, and also we visited your neighbors as well, because we believe that there's no way that 44 Stanley can survive as the business without having a community that actually supports. We just love the ecosystem that we see around here. We see the guys who are parking cars, we see the security, and because all those are very important things that are very important that people need to find in the space. We're just hoping that the city, the province, I mean, we've been hearing the speeches with the new mayor, with the premier in the 7th administration, that they will follow on what they've said. I mean, you spoke about the GNU. We are also hoping that there's a lot of things that actually will get done. The amount of jobs that actually get created with this kind of development is so amazing. If you look at the numbers, are staggering of unemployment. But we so love the ecosystem, I mean, that you've created inside here. Any parting shots?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's truly encouraging is seeing Transnet coming back to the city, spending nearly R1 billion on redevelopment of their new buildings, and then also like looking at getting Carlton Centre going again. They're trying to bring people back into the city, and if you think about it, Johannesburg downtown is the biggest single African asset on the continent. There's no more valuable real estate collectively than the Johannesburg downtown area, and to not take advantage of that and the infrastructure is it's very silly. It's very silly.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Brian. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you've learned a bit from what actually Brian has shared, the insight that he has shared, and I hope that you've visited 44 Stanley. If you haven't come through, look at what they have here, because the tenant mix is so amazing. We did touch on the tenants mixture philosophy, and I believe that it's something that you're still employing or deploying obviously in this side.
We curate curate our buildings very, very carefully. We will not let them go. And you're as good as your weakest tenant.
You're as good as your weakest tenant. With that, guys, thank you so much. We hope you've learned quite a bit from this. Thank you so much, Brian. We really thank you for the work that you are doing to revive the city. Wow. We're hoping that all of you guys will be able to comment, share the best things. Those who know Brian, how crazy he is, we want more of Brian's, to revive our city. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Watch the space.
Okay.